So the chapter today that we are going to start is audit of items of financial statements. Most of the students feel this is a very difficult chapter and lengthy chapter they feel. Actually, this is the most logical and a chapter of common sense. It is not something we have to read this chapter and learn. Whatever we really do in audit, that is there in this chapter. So this is a chapter which uses high amount of common sense, where you require decent knowledge, a general knowledge. Now we know this chapter weightage will be 10 marks to 16 marks. In one attempt, some 16 marks were asked for. 4 questions were asked from this chapter. What is the heading of the chapter? Audit of items of financial statements. Audit of items of financial statements. What are you doing audit? You are doing audit of items of financial statements. First, let us understand what are financial statements. We have to give opinion on financial statements, right? We have to give opinion on financial statements, right? What are all the financial statements? Balance sheet, P&L, cash flow statements. And of course, balance sheet P&L includes obviously notes to accounts. Notes to accounts, according to me, is not a separate document. It's an extension to balance sheet and P&L. Now, within this balance sheet, there are so many sub-items like liabilities, assets. These liabilities are again broadly divided into three types: shareholder funds, non-current liabilities, current liabilities. Assets are broadly divided into 2 types: non-current assets and current assets. Again, if you see, shareholder funds are divided into these types: equity shareholders, preference shareholders, reserves and surplus, and somewhere share application money pending allotment. Broadly. Again, reserves and surplus are subclassified into multiple types: P&L surplus, securities premium, capital redemption reserve, debenture redemption reserve, revaluation reserve, or any other reserve, whatever. Again, if you see non-current assets, they are divided into multiple types: fixed assets. Fixed assets are again subdivided into 2 types: intangible assets, tangible assets. Intangible assets has another category: intangibles under development. Tangible assets has another category called capital work in progress. There is another thing called capital advance. And if you see again non-current assets, there is another item called investments, which includes investment property. Yes or no, Sudhir?
Yes, sir.
Now, other non-current assets like loans and advances given, security deposits, and if you take current assets, again, they have again subcategories: cash and cash equivalents, trade receivables, loans and advances which are of short-term in nature, where the maturity will be within 12 months. And most importantly, inventory. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Now tell me, Sudhir, are these all line items or not? Again, if you take intangibles, it will have a breakup again: goodwill, yes or no, trademark, patent, copyright, IPRs, any other intellectual property rights. Are you clear?
Yes, sir.
Tangible assets will have again subclassification. Tangible assets will have again subclassification: land and building, plant and machinery, furniture, electrical fittings, computers. So many.
Yes, sir.
Now, all these items together constitute financial statements, correct?
Yes, sir.
In this chapter, we are going to learn how to do audit of these items individually. The objective of our learning of this chapter is how to verify these items of financial statements. What points that you will verify? Remember, Sudhir, our objective is what? Reasonable assurance to give opinion on financial statements, whether the information given is true and fair or not. whether the information given in financial statements is true and fair or not. What information financial statements are giving? Just now I breaked everything. Financial statements are giving information about assets, information about liabilities with detailed breakups in notes to accounts. You take profit and loss account, it has revenue and it has expenses. Revenue is again two types as per schedule 3. Revenue from operations and other income. Expenses are multiple purchases, changes in inventory, employee cost, finance cost, remuneration to directors, depreciation, other administrative and selling expenses. Now, how to do audit of all these items? Again, you take other administrative expenses, it has so many breakups. Auditor's remuneration, and you have breakup telephone expenses, printing and stationery, postage, traveling expenses, any other like staff welfare expense. Of course, staff welfare expenses will come under employee cost. These items, how should I audit? I need to get reasonable assurance on all these items. Yes, sir. Only when purchases I got a reasonable assurance, sales I got reasonable assurance, other expenses I got reasonable assurance, then I can say profit and loss account I'm having reasonable assurance, correct?
Yes, sir.
Only if I get assurance on fixed assets, current assets, shareholder funds, non-current liabilities, current liabilities, only then I'm having reasonable assurance on balance sheet. Only when I get reasonable assurance on balance sheet, reasonable assurance on P&L, reasonable assurance on cash flow, I'm having reasonable assurance on financial statements. Only when I get this assurance, I can give opinion on them. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Until now, all these days, what we discussed is conceptual terms we discussed. Auditor has to verify financial statements. Before verifying financial statements, auditor has to check risk and controls. After that, you have to check transactions and details, and that is called substantive procedure. How to carry out substantive procedure exactly is what this entire chapter we are going to discuss. That is why at the beginning page, I mentioned what we are going to learn. Audit of items of financial statements. It is nothing but various assertions you are verifying which are made in financial statements. How to verify all those assertions? Are you clear?
Yes, sir.
Sir, what do you mean by assertion? Now tell me, what do you mean by assertion? All these days assertion word has appeared many a times, and I gave you a simplified definition. Assertion means a statement made. Suppose now I'm saying something, no, I'm asserting something. I am asserting something. Whatever I'm telling is assertion. Assertion in the context of financial statements, means whatever information given in balance sheet, P&L, all this information is called as assertions. What are the assertions which management broadly give? Conceptual names. I'll tell you the conceptual names of assertion. Management will say, we have so many assets. Balance sheet says, there are some assets which are existing, correct?
Yes, sir.
Balance sheet said that asset is owned by the company, rights and obligation. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Balance sheet says these are all the complete list of assets, complete list.
Yes, sir.
P&L account says whatever sales happened during this period were recorded perfectly cut off. Able to sync?
Yes, sir.
Then we are present, we are valuing the assets. Inventory says we have valued the asset at so and so, valuation and measurement. And notes to accounts gives information about contingent liabilities, presentation and disclosure. Are you clear? These are all the assertions which company is making. Company saying we are having an asset or we are having a liability. Company saying that asset is owned by the company. Company saying that liability is an obligation for the company. Company saying all the assets and liabilities, incomes and expenses are recorded completely. Company says incomes and expenses were recorded in the correct accounting period. Company says depreciation is measured properly, inventory is valued properly, assets are valued properly. Company says all the requirements as per Schedule 3 are presented, all the requirements as per Schedule 3 and accounting standards are disclosed. These are all called as assertions. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Still we have not entered the chapter. I wanted to just give you a brief idea. A brief overview first we should understand. Tell me, what is the objective of SA 200? What is the objective of the auditor as per SA 200? To obtain reasonable assurance whether financial statements are prepared in accordance with yes, applicable financial reporting framework and to give opinion thereon. After that, what is applicable financial reporting framework? It may be Schedule 3. It also includes accounting standards, all that. We need to check all these, right?
Yes, sir.
So how to verify all this? You should verify financial reporting framework. You should verify actualities of the transactions. You should verify really whether the asset is there, really whether the liability is there. How to verify that asset or liability is what we are going to learn in this chapter. Whatever you do, suppose, Sudhir, I went to the godown and I'm looking at the inventory. What is the assertion I'm doing right now? I am checking existence. I am checking existence assertion. Management said inventory is in existence. I am checking that existence assertion. I immediately took the stock record and counted physical inventory. Is it matching or not? I am checking completeness. I am checking completeness. I asked management, sir, inventory is existing, inventory, everything is recorded. Give me bills of the inventory. How do I know this inventory is belonging to the entity? Give me bills of the entity. Give me GRN copies, all that. I am checking rights. What am I checking? Rights and obligation. The moment when the company presented in balance sheet a fixed asset, they are saying fixed asset is existing. And the moment they presented in balance sheet under fixed asset by the company is saying that it is their own asset, right? The moment they are presenting, these are the total fixed assets, company saying every fixed asset has been accounted properly. Company saying that all that in the form of mentioning in the balance sheet and P&L. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
I asked management, give me NRV workings of the inventory. Give me cost details of the inventory. I am verifying which assertion? Valuation assertion. I am asking depreciation, life of asset estimation, all that. I am verifying measurement. I am asking management regarding what are the latest sales invoices. Management gave me March 31st sales invoices. I am asking management, have goods been delivered? Have risk and rewards were transferred? I am verifying that. I am testing cutoff. I am verifying balance sheet P&L formats. I am verifying accounting standard disclosure requirement, what company has actually done. I am verifying presentation and disclosure. Auditor has to verify all these assertions. Auditor has to verify all these assertions. By the way, tell me, who will make these assertions, Sudhir?
Management.
Management is the one who is making these assertions. Management is the one who is making these assertions. Auditors are not actually, making the auditor in fact cannot make an assertion. Management is the one who is making all these assertions. Auditor has to verify them. That's it. Are you clear?
Yes, sir.
By mentioning a fixed asset in the balance sheet, management has made an implied assertion that asset is existing, that asset is owned by company, that asset, these are the only assets of the company, the assets value, everything management is making assertions impliedly. So assertions may be explicit assertions or implicit assertion. Are you clear?
Yes, sir.
So this is assertion. How to verify these assertions? Whatever I'm doing, suppose I'm verifying purchases. I'm verifying purchases, Sudhir. First, I will verify purchase order is there or not. I will verify purchase invoice is there or not. I'll verify GRN is there or not. I'll verify whether it is recorded in the stock register or not. I'll verify is it recorded in the accounting records or not. I'll verify whether voucher is prepared and authorized or not. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Why am I verifying all this? In order to identify stock register, in order to know completeness. Purchase order, in order to know all purchase orders have been accounted properly in completeness. Purchase invoice and GRN, in order to know cutoff. Only when you receive the goods by 31st March, you will recognize it as purchase of that year. Suppose if you received goods in April, will you recognize in current year?
No, sir.
Why? Risk and reward has not been transferred to you.
Yes, sir.
No, you have to recognize it in the next year. Yes or no? Whether it is accounted properly or not, completeness. You are verifying purchase invoice to know rights and obligations. You are verifying GRN to know whether really has been existing or not again. GRN indicates goods have received. It indicates, yes, goods have existed in go down. Stock register indicates goods have existed in go down. Are you clear?
Yes, sir.
In this way, these assertions I should apply at sales, these assertions I should apply at purchases, these assertions I should apply at inventory, debtors, creditors, everywhere. Employee benefit expenses, all that. How to do all this is what we are going to discuss in this chapter. See, in this chapter, I'll tell you one thing, Sudhir, and everybody else also understand one point. Whatever level of effectiveness I put in this chapter, however detailed line by line explanation I give, it is not going to serve you anything. Unless you use your general knowledge, unless you use your common sense, unless you think with your brain, you can't understand this chapter. I can only give you all guidance on this chapter. I cannot explain detail each and every point. This chapter, if you see in the study material, it is 90 pages. 90 pages. If at all we have to discuss each and every line, it will take 20 hours. But nobody explains in 20 hours. And in fact, explaining 20 hours will not even serve any purpose. It will not be useful. Now, you know, one fundamental point every one of you should understand. We have to verify presentation disclosure, right?
Yes, sir.
Presentation disclosure of whatever transaction, whatever balance, it must be as per Schedule 3 in case of a company, and it must be as per accounting standard, correct?
Yes,
So
sir.
you must understand Schedule 3 and accounting standards as part of accounts. You have a chapter called financial statements of companies in group 1 or group 2, whatever. If you don't study Schedule 3 means not 2 pages format, 22 pages text which is given in accounting book. Some 20-25 pages guidelines were given on Schedule 3 preparation. Unless you read that, in this chapter, 1/3 you can't understand. 1/3 of this chapter you can't understand. Because 1/3 of this chapter speaks about presentation and disclosure of each item of balance sheet and P&L. Suppose they take purchases. What information to be given related to purchases? They discuss about Schedule 3. They discuss about accounting standard. You are discussing inventory. Same. What is disclosure as per Schedule 3? What is disclosure as per accounting standard? That's an information. You have to read Schedule 3 for this. 1/3 of the chapter is directly linked with Schedule 3. Remaining 2/3 is linked with our audit. I should verify presentation disclosure also. No doubt about it as part of audit. Next. This chapter has been broadly divided into 2 parts. Of course, they have not given that bifurcation. I am dividing the chapter into 2 parts. Audit of financial statements, right? Yes, Sudhir? Audit
Yes,
of
sir.
items of financial statements, right? I divide this chapter into two parts. Audit of items of balance sheet. Audit of items of P&L. Again, audit of items of balance sheet, I divide into 2 types. Audit of liabilities, audit of assets. Here I'll divide into audit of revenue, audit of expenses. So as a whole, this chapter can be broadly divided into 4 categories. So in the same order, first they will be discussing balance sheet related items, then they will be discussing P&L related items. But we will discuss reverse. First we will discuss P&L items, then we will discuss balance sheet items. In balance sheet also, first they start the discussion with shareholder funds. Then they discuss about non-current liabilities. Then they discuss about current liabilities. Then they discuss about non-current assets. Then they discuss about current assets. Then they discuss about revenue from operations and other income. Then they discuss about expenses, purchases, employee benefit expenses, finance cost, rates and rents, all that. Do you understand, Sudhir?
Yes, sir.
So let us look at that chapter, how it is being discussed, how it's being discussed. So why we need to understand this chapter? Why we need to understand this chapter? Very clear. See, the objectives of learning this chapter are also given. Companies prepare financial statements as per Indian GAAP and accounting standards. What financial statement audit comprises? As I already told you, we need to verify entities' financial statements and disclosures. All that you have to verify, and you have to give a report after examination.
Yes, sir.
And you need to certify whether the true and fairness of the financial statements and disclosures are correct or not. So in preparing financial statements, company management makes implicit or explicit claims. The company says we have recorded all the assets. Company says transactions are recorded in current accounting period. Company says assets are existing, purchase have occurred. Company says assets are valued properly, depreciation is measured properly. Company says assets are owned by the entity or liabilities or obligation of the entity. Company says these are all the items which are presented and disclosed as per so schedule 3. The company will make all these assertions. Now you have to verify all these assertions. It may be relating to asset, it may be relating to liability, it may be relating to equity, it may be relating to income, expense, and disclosures. Are you clear?
Yes, sir.
Suppose company X balance sheet shows buildings with carrying amount of 50 lakhs. What are all the companies making assumptions? What assumptions the company is making assumptions? The fact building is recognized in balance sheet. No, it shows that building is existing at period existence. The building is shown in fixed as a fixed asset. No, it shows building is owned by X. Rights and obligation are with X. Now you are showing 50 lakhs value. No, indirectly you are also doing valuation. Now you are saying buildings is totally 50 lakhs. You are saying this is the total value of the buildings. Correct? No? By mentioning building is equal to 50 lakhs in balance sheet, you are saying you have buildings as on balance sheet. You are saying 50 lakhs is the value of the building. You are saying 50 lakhs is the only value of the buildings. You are saying 50 lakhs is owned by you because you mentioned it under fixed asset. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Now I need to verify really whether the 50 lakhs building existing with the company or not. I need to verify all these assertions, yes or no.
Yes,
How
sir.
will I verify whether building is existing as on balance sheet date? Physically look at the building and look at the title deeds. Right, sir, look at the title deeds. Valuation, look at the depreciation, computation, and original cost arrival, all that. Completeness, see all the buildings of the company have been accounted. Correct or not? Completeness you can see by looking at fixed asset register. So what do you mean by occurrence? See, assertions may be broadly classified. Income statement related. Like for revenue and expenses, what assertions you will verify? I will just tell you, I'll just tell you right now, what are the assertions we broadly have? Existence, existence, occurrence, completeness, completeness, cutoff, valuation and measurement, presentation and disclosure. Presentation and disclosure. These are the assertions. Generally, we don't say income existing or not. We say whether income has arisen or not. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
P&L items, we use the word occurrence generally. Existence is used exclusively for balance sheet items generally. Completeness is used for both balance sheet as well as P&L. Cutoff is used generally for P&L items. Valuation and measurement is again used for both balance sheet and P&L items. Presentation requirement as per schedule 3. Disclosure requirement as per schedule 3. Accounting standards, these are applicable for generally both balance sheet and P&L. Now tell me for P&L how many assertions were there? Only 5. Occurrence, completeness, cutoff, measurement or valuation, presentation and disclosure. Whereas balance sheet item has how many assertions? Existence, completeness, valuation, measurement, presentation and disclosure. Are you clear? I am giving you a general rule here. I'm not saying this is the 100% correct rule. Some people will say occurrence is also applicable for balance sheet. Some say existence is applicable even for P&L. Able to understand? But general rule I'm saying. Now you see occurrence. What do you mean by occurrence? What is the assertion called occurrence? Transactions recognized in financial statements have actually occurred and related to the entity. Transactions recognized in P&L, whatever is shown in the P&L, you are saying they occurred in the organization and they are related to the entity. When you say purchases of 100 lakhs, you are saying total purchases, all transactions during the year are 100 lakhs. You are saying complete purchases for accountant. You need to verify that. Employee benefit expenses for all staff have been accounted for or not indirectly. Completeness means cut off. Whether all incomes and expenses are accounted in appropriate period. How do I identify cutoff? See whether by 31st March of the accounting year, goods have been actually delivered or received delivery in order to record it as purchase. Cutoff is a separate assertion because substantive procedures to verify it are typically different from those applied in components of completeness. Completeness is different, cutoff is different. Completeness means, sir, you have issued purchase orders of 1,000, which means purchase invoice should also be 1,000. Purchase transaction should also be 1,000. I am checking whether purchases are completely recorded or not based on purchase order. Sir, purchases of 1,000 are there. Out of it, 990 were received during the year. Remaining 10 were received in the next month, April. These 10 I should not account. Only 990 should account. But 1,000 records were there. Complete transactions are completely recorded and also recorded in right accounting period. Are you clear?
Yes, sir.
Measurement. Transactions have been recorded accurately at their appropriate amounts. Example, fixed asset has to be recorded at purchase price plus installation expenses plus trial run expenses, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Presentation and disclosure. Transactions have been classified and presented. Fixed assets have to be classified into two parts, tangible, intangible. Tangible has to be classified, completed assets and capital work in progress. Intangibles, completed assets, owned assets and intangibles under development. You have to classify like this, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
And you have to present in the financial statements as per applicable financial reporting statement, as per applicable financial reporting framework. Now you see balance sheet captions, existence, completeness again comes in balance sheet. Cutoff may or may not come, but cutoff point is important for capitalization. For capitalization, whether to claim depreciation on a newly purchased machine or not. If newly purchased machine is installed during the year, capitalize. Capitalize and claim depreciation. You just purchased, record it. As on 31st March, it is existing, right? Record it. But you have not yet installed. Are you getting the point? Then depreciation don't compute. Are you clear?
Yes, sir.
Valuation, whether assets and liabilities have been valued properly or not. That is what we are going to check at valuation. Example, inventory should be recognized at lower of cost and NRV. So I should know what is NRV. I should know what is meant by cost. What is meant by cost as per accounting standard 2. Cost of production, administrative, all that abnormal wastage shall be excluded while calculating cost of inventory. This and all you have to follow AS2 valuation rule. Rights and obligation. How do you verify rights and obligation? See, when you are showing fixed asset in the balance sheet, you are saying that asset is owned by you. How do you see? You have to see the title deeds. What do you have to see? Title deeds. Suppose if it is a finance leased asset, you see lease deed. Are you clear? And presentation and disclosure. Here I think I have not added one more point. Rights and obligations. Right is an asset of the entity. Obligation is a liability of the entity. This is also a balance sheet item, not a P&L item. Are you clear?
Yes, sir.
Presentation and disclosure. Whether particular items of financial statements, are they classified properly? Are they described and disclosed properly? Described means what? Loan is different, deposit is different. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
You should disclose them separately. Loan given to employee is an asset. Deposit made in a bank is also an asset. But description should be clear, not confusing. Presentation and disclosure are considered during the course of audit. Getting it? And we will see whether presentations are accurately made or completely made as per schedule 3. Are they made as per accounting standard or not? Are you clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, first we will see balance sheet items. How to verify balance sheet items. So, how to verify balance sheet items, that we will check first. Once we understand the balance sheet items, it will be easy for us to understand. First P&L, sorry. First we will verify P&L items. So until now, what we discussed is concept of verification. Now we are discussing actual, how to verify sales, how to verify purchases, how to verify expenses, how to verify employee benefit expenses, all that. At a glance, I'll tell, okay, it's not detailed, because in detailed explanation also it's difficult. Statement of profit and loss account, how to verify that. 2 minutes with it, I'll just have water and come. Yeah, Sudhir, clear?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Now, how to verify statement of profit and loss account and captions. First, they gave you what is the first and foremost P&L income, sale of production services. This is nothing but we call it as revenue from operations. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Sales and collection cycle in business refers to set of process that begin when a customer purchases the goods or services and ends when entity receives the payment. Correct? No?
Yes, sir.
As part of audit and entity's financial statements, auditor tests sales transactions and internal controls over those transactions to ensure that entity is not materially misstating its revenue or accounts receivable. We need to check controls. Why? Because you see, Sudhir, in DMart, 200 stores, every day 500 bills, over a period of 365 days, more than 3 crore transactions will happen.
Yes,
Correct?
sir.
Can I verify all the 3 crore bills and all, whether accounted properly or not? I can't. So what should I verify? Okay, I can't verify all the bills. I should verify whether will these bills be accounted properly or not. Means I should verify the process of recognition of revenue. That is called controls. So first I should verify controls. Then I will randomly take some dates, randomly pick some bills, whether are they accounted or not. I'll check substantive procedure. I'll check controls. I'll check actual transaction. That is called compliance and substantive. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So auditor need to obtain a clear understanding about organization revenue and its revenue centers. Auditor should know what is the revenue sources for the organization, from in how many ways organization will get revenue. Suppose you take Reliance Industries Limited, they have multiple segments, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
They have telecommunication segment, they have retail segment, they have some oil segment, multiple segments, and identify segment information of the company. Identify from how many goods and services will get income, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So auditor need to obtain an understanding of management control in respect of sales process. How sales process will happen? Is there any particular duty? Is there any particular structure? Is there segregation of duty? Who checks the credit limit of customer? Who authorizes sales order? Who writes the sales invoices? How goods are delivered? Are they delivered directly or are they delivered through courier? So whether who ensures risk and rewards are transferred to customer, and how sales have been recognized in the system. Are you clear?
Yes, sir.
An auditor test controls where, auditor, see, suppose you go to like this one, DMart, you pay money, counter. Can you take the carry bag and cross the gate without bill?
No, sir.
The bill is the ultimate proof. See, all that controls you have to check. So the auditor has to test the controls the entity has set up for sales cycle to determine how strong and reliable they are. Suppose in DMart, I saw DMart, every sale will happen only through bill. Only if bill is given, only after bill and goods will deliver. And in other words, if bill is given, goods will for sure deliver. Which means total number of bills is equal to total number of deliveries, can I say?
Yes, sir.
So if they are strong, auditor can reduce number of invoices checking, substantive test. Like what are the controls over sales generally? Invoices are pre-numbered. Purchase order will be received from customer. Yes or no? Like these are all controls may be there in every organization, may not be there. Now what auditor do? What is the broad idea? First you will understand how company sales happen. We will test controls. Yes or no? Third, we will select a random sample of sales, examine related order, related invoice, customer statements. Are you getting the point?
Yes, sir.
And finally, no doubt about it, substantive procedure performing is must, no doubt. Yes, sir. Why is it a substitute? Sir, controls are excellent, sir. I'm not verifying a single bill. No, you have to.
No.
And not only that, Analytically also you should perform. Analytical procedures also you should see. Sir, last year sales how much? Current year sales how much? Last year that product how many sales? Current year that product how many sales? If there is a significant variation, why there is a variation? Is there any wrong accounting? Category wise sales analysis. Yes or no? The sales exception, comparing that with client sales record. So all that. Suppose examples are given. You examples and all you look at later on.
Okay.
So what is the broad procedure of audit? First, I should say recorded sales and services performed during the period. Whatever the sales recorded, how will I verify? What is the objective of this? Ensure that they are not overstated. Also, we have to ensure that they are not understated. Getting it? Check whether a single sale invoice is recorded twice or a cancelled invoice have been, whether a cancelled invoice could also be recorded, yes or no? Or duplication and fictitious. What is it like? Duplications and fictitious. How should you check duplications? Suppose if sales invoices are pre-numbered, duplication is not possible. And see, sales invoices, pre-numbered sales invoices starts from 1 and ends with 1000, which means in this year, how many sales happened? 1000. You see the ledger. In ledger folio, there are 1005, which means something is wrong. Some invoices are accounted duplicate. Correct. If it is electronic, no. If it's electronic, no. Like invoice column will be there, right? Here you have to number it. This number should not be reproduced. Even if I try to re-enter the same number, it will say number already exists. Error. That control should be there. Whether any fictitious customers and sales have been recorded, is there any dummy sales? How will you verify this? How will you verify dummy sales? There are 1000 sales. Out of this, some 3 or 4 are dummy sales. They are fake invoices. How will you verify? Compare with stock register. Are you clear? But first of all, see, you cannot trace out what are all dummy sales and all. You cannot trace out each and every dummy sale. First, what you have to see is how these 1000 sales are recorded. Look at the process. Only an actual sale can be recorded. In DMart accounting system, a sale come into picture only when billing happens. If a bill has happened, it means it is obviously a sale. Will anybody put dummy 1000 rupee sales bill?
No, sir.
If at all 1000 rupee sales bill has been dumbly added, if it has been added without there, cash balance will not tally. Bank balance will not tally. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Next. Whether any shipments were done without consent and agreement of the customer. See whether shipments were done with the proper slips or not. Whether unearned revenue is recorded. Whether unearned revenue recorded as and getting fictitious again. Whether any substantial uncertainty exists about collectability. You remember accounting standard 9, revenue from sale of goods. Risk and reward should be transferred. Certainty about collection should be there. Only then you should be recorded. Yes or no? But once you record it, later on you need not reverse. Make a provision if there is an uncertainty in collection.
Yes, sir.
Whether customer obligations are contingent, means customer will be able to repay or not. Will be able to repay or not. Review the sequence of sale invoice. Review journal entries. Look at ratio analysis. Are you clear? Whenever there is a sales return, compare with other stock registers and whether goods are actually received back. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Whether all sales made during the period were recorded. There is no understatement. Same points with the reverse approach. Whether all sales are accurately measured. Sales should be recorded at what price? Selling price. Not invoice price. Because selling price plus GST, you will get invoice price.
Yes,
in fact, selling price plus transportation charges plus GST plus packing, all together you get invoice price. Are you clear?
Yes, sir.
Oh, in revenue, in P&L, how much I should recognize it as sale price? I should recognize as sale price all these three together. Selling price. Some companies, transport, they will exclude separately and record separately transport.
Okay.
And GST on sale is an outward tax. This shall not be credited to P&L. This should be shown as a liability in balance sheet. Yes, or no?
Yes, sir.
On purchases, whatever tax you pay, you will be showing it as asset input tax.
Yes, sir.
And see whether the sales are accounted as per applicable accounting standards or not. See accounting standard. What is the wordings that the accounting standard is saying? What is Schedule 3 is saying? All that. Whether all the required disclosures for sales have been made. whether disclosures have been made for each class of goods separately in the Schedule 3 notes to accounts. Sale of products how much, sale of services how much, other operating revenue how much, including GST has to be shown. Yes or no? Whether brokerage and discount on usual trade has been disclosed. Whether the transactions with related parties are disclosed separately, because all transactions with related party has to be accounted separately. AS 18 disclosure requirement. They will be there as part of revenue from operations. Revenue from operations 10 crore. Out of it 9 crores to outsiders, 1 crore to related parties. Related parties, holding company 50 lakhs, subsidiary company 50 lakhs. Breakup. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Hey, whatever we have to verify was there here. Many are asking, sir, how should I study and remember? Why you have to remember? Why you have to remember? Suppose I'll right now tell you what points I'll verify. Common sense, let us use common sense. If at all you are the auditor of a company, what are the points you will verify in order to verify the sales? First, whether sales are existing or not. I mean, existing assertion will not come, no? Completeness assertion will come here, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Completeness assertion, whether sales are complete or not, how will you check? Whether all sales have been recorded or not. All sales have been recorded or not. Have been recorded or not. You have to verify by comparing stock register, invoices issued, yes or no, invoices issued, and customer orders. All these three, when you verify, cross verify, you will understand whether it is completely recorded or not. Yes or no?
Yes,
you should ensure there is no fictitious sale. You should ensure there is no fictitious sale. No fictitious sale. How you should ensure? I mean, entire stock outflow should match with invoice quantity. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Suppose if invoice quantity says stock outflow is wrong, low, which means there is a fictitious sale. Cut off. Whether in respect of all invoices, risk and reward has been actually transferred or not. Certainty exists or not. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Then presentation and disclosure. In fact, value. Sales should be recorded after excluding GST separately. And sales should be disclosed in notes to accounts. Category wise, sale of goods, sale of services, and other sales. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
See, here itself we got some 6-7 points easily. If you think with common sense, you can easily write. These questions will be asked for 4 marks maximum, some worst case 6 marks. With common sense, if you think, you can write all of this. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Next. Other income. What other income consists of? Interest, dividend, profit or loss on sale of investments. Any form of income earned by the entity which is not linked to entity's core business operations is generally classified as other income. Example, interest on excess funds parked in fixed deposits, loans given to third parties interest, return on mutual fund, interest income on fixed deposit is recognized on time proportionate, yes or no? Yes, dividend is recognized when the right to receive dividends are established, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
And economic, obviously dividend will be flowing to the entity and dividend is measured reliably. Only then you can recognize. Suppose
yes,
every year company will declare dividend. I don't know this year how much they will declare. Can I recognize now? No.
No, sir.
Company should declare percentage. I should know how many shares I'm holding. I should be eligible. Only then I can recognize. On record date, I must be the owner, right?
Yes, sir.
If I'm the owner on the record date, I will definitely receive. Economic benefits will be with me.
Yes, sir.
Same way, gain or loss on sale of investment. You would have seen this in investment accounts, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So what are the points that you have to verify? So how will you verify fixed deposit interest? How will you verify interest income? First, I will get a list of all the fixed deposits that are opened during the year, that are outstanding during the year. Yes or no? I will open. And I will calculate from date of deposit open to date, deposit closure date, or to 31st March. What is the time gap? What is the rate of interest? What is the principal? What is the time period? I will get interest amount or not. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Suppose if that interest is not yet received, I will show it as interest receivable in balance sheet. Correct or not?
Yes, sir.
So, and not only that, really do you have this fixed deposit? What if you verify fixed deposit receipt will be there? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
This receipt can be downloaded from internet banking. And how much interest you accrued during the year, company has calculated, but you want to know how much accrued. Download a confirmation from internet banking. Not only that, you are getting interest of so much, the bank is deducting TDS.
Yes, sir.
See form 26A, how much ever TDS deducted in the interest, it will be reflected in form 26A. Able to understand?
Yes, sir.
For dividends, verify whether right to receive payment has been established. Take all the list of shares held by you. Shares held by you during the year. Now, suppose you are holding Reliance Industries shares, you are holding some Infosys shares. Identify record date. On the record date, are you still holding Reliance shares or not? Check it out. On the Infosys record date, are you still holding or not? Check it out. Accordingly, you are eligible for dividend. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Same way, you sold some shares and securities. Get a demat statement. See the demat statement whether for profit or loss. Are you clear?
Yes, sir.
So finally, how this other income has to be disclosed in balance sheet. I mean, in this one, notes to accounts. In P&L, we will just show other income 10 lakhs. In notes to accounts, we will have to show breakup. Interest, dividend, other non-operating income. Getting it? You should always show net of expenses. Net of expenses. Interest minus collection charges, net interest you should select. Dividend minus collection charges, net interest. But remember, TDS is not an expense.
Yes, sir.
Suppose interest is 10,000, TDS deducted 1,000, I receive 9,000. What is my income? 10,000 only. 1,000 rupees is TDS asset. I will adjust it against self-assessment tax.
Yes, sir.
That's it. Are you clear?
Yes.
Now coming to purchases. Purchases is another significant process of the entity. Similar to sales, purchases and disbursement cycle in the business you should understand. Yes or no? Auditor needs to obtain a clear understanding about organization and its purchase process, production centers, all that. And what are the types of services or products they deal with? Accordingly, what products they are purchasing? Is there a relationship between the products purchased and whatever the sales they are making? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
And are they purchasing goods locally or from globally? What are the purchase terms? Who is taking quality? What is the credit period you are getting? Who are the major suppliers? Do get an idea about entire company purchase process. So an auditor should understand control points over purchases. Control points are purchase order, another control point GR, and another control point weight checkings, another control point stock register, another control point purchase invoice ultimately, and another control point voucher and accounting. These are the control points. Are you getting it? So we need to do two-way match or three-way match. Two-way match means purchase order, GRN and vendor invoice. Three-way match. Two-way match means only purchase order invoice. Are you clear? See, I ordered purchase order 1,000 goods. GRN should be less than or equal to 1,000, correct?
Yes,
Invoice should be again less than or equal to 1,000. Can invoice be more than 1,000 here? Can GRN be more than 1,000 for the same order? Because whatever I order, I make it exactly like that or less than that.
Yes, sir.
Less than that, I will get because of either transit loss or seller do not have adequate stock. He sent less number of goods. So, no.
Yes.
So an auditor tests the control. An auditor tests the control that the entity has set up for purchase cycle. How purchase cycle controls you have to study. Then do take random sample of transactions. Verify everything, order, GRN, inward gate entry, everything. Perform substantive procedure. Not only that, analytical procedure is also must. You have to analysis, purchase trend analysis, compare with previous year, purchase wise category. Yes or no? All that.
Yes, sir.
So the below table is exactly giving the purchases. So what points? Ensure that purchases are not understated or not overstated. How do you verify? See whether any fictitious vendors are there. And see the vendor selection process followed by the entity. Generally, every year selection process won't be there. Once vendor is fixed, we will transact with him. Whether goods are received at a factory gate, whether there exists an entry security guide register or not, whether inspection of quality is done, inspection report will be generated, whether GRN is issued or not, whether purchase invoice has been approved by after doing 3 or 2-way checking, whether stock record is updated immediately. Purchase invoice should be the original copy. Yes or no? Always you should receive the original copy.
Yes, sir.
But now anyhow, everything is printouts, no online computer printout. Computer printed, you don't find original is what, duplicate is what. Once upon a time, no, yellow color is original, pink color is duplicate, white color is duplicate, 3 copies. Yellow color is for buyer, pink color is for seller, white color is for transporter. In this way it will be there. But now all are same, three or five, same color. Earlier they used to have a carbon papers in between and write bills. Now it is not there. Now it is completely electronic. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Now you are getting no bill in Amazon as soon as you purchase goods. Is it original or
Yes, sir.
duplicate? Both are
Soft
same.
copy. Yes,
Soft copy, you don't have original, duplicate, all that. Purchase invoice should be booked. When I can record purchase? Only when the goods have been received. Yes or no? Only when the risk is transferred to me. Only then I will record. Received by me means what? Received within the factory, but received under my control. Tell me, Sudhir.
Sir?
Received means what? Goods delivered or goods received means. Delivery
The
means
risk and
what?
rewards are
Goods
transferred.
delivered means control transferred or possession, everything completely transferred.
Possession and ownership is transferred.
Control, yeah, control. See, I'll tell you.
Yes.
You know, stock in trade, in whose books of accounts it will come?
Buyer.
No,
Stock in trade.
depends upon the scenario. It depends upon the scenario. Stock in transit. I want to tell about stock in transit. What is it? Stock in transit. In whose
Stock in
books it will come? Depends on the scenario. Suppose Mr. A purchased goods from Mr. B. Both are in 2 different states. Okay. Now,
Yes,
Mr. A took delivery at A's premises itself. Now, A is carrying through a transporter. Now, if at all in between something happens to the purchasers, who should suffer the loss?
Yes.
A. Yes or no? But as on 31st March, still the goods are in transit, not yet received into A's factory.
Yes, sir.
But control is with whom? A.
Yeah.
Delivery over. So, purchase account at R2, B account. I will recognize. But will it be considered as part of stock in hand? Is it in
No,
hand?
sir.
No, you will
No, sir.
consider it under stock in transit. Are you clear?
Yes, sir.
Same. Suppose you have ordered it to B. B told he will deliver to you. He will deliver to you until goods reach your factory. Get B's responsibility. In between something happens. Who will have to bear the loss?
B.
So is sale over?
No, sir.
Purchase over? No entry.
No. No entry.
But is the goods in hand with me?
Yes, sir.
No, not in hand. They are in transit.
Transit.
So instead of stock in hand, here we will reduce and add it to stock in transit.
Stock in trade.
So here
Stock in
comes
transit.
in the books of B. Previous case, stock in transit comes in the books of A. It depends upon in whose control the goods are. They are in my control, but they are not in my go down as on the day. So which means they are in transit. Clear?
Yes, sir.
So FOB, CIF, these all comes under importation. Purchase invoice should be in the name of the client. No, obviously, only then we call it as his goods.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Not only that, you should also perform analytical procedure. This was asked for 4 marks in November 2019. Write about analytical procedures for purchases. How will you verify reasonableness of purchase quantity? You will check consumption analysis. Auditor should scrutinize raw materials consumed and see, compare the same with the previous year closing stock and ask reason why there is a significant variation. Check stock composition analysis. Stock is having 3 materials A, B, C. Compare it with last year composition, current year composition, current year purchases, current year consumption. Do ratio analysis. So 3 analysis we do: consumption analysis, stock consumption analysis, stock composition analysis, and ratio analysis. Are you clear?
Yes, sir.
See, this chapter, Sudhir, I'm telling you honestly, you have to read thoroughly once. Each and every line you have to read. Only then you'll understand exactly. It is very difficult for us to explain each and every point here. Now, we also, there is also another requirement. Required disclosures for purchases. What purchase you have to disclose as per Schedule 3? Whether purchases of stock in trade has been specifically disclosed. Whether changes in inventory has been accounted. Work in progress have been specifically disclosed. Whether transactions to related parties. Of course, all related party transactions should be shown at one place. Purchases, sales, assets, liabilities, loans, advances. All that should be shown at one place as per Accounting Standard 18.
Yes, sir.
That's it. Then employee benefit expenses. Before that, I'll just take 5 minutes gap again because I'm continuously shouting. No. Okay,
Okay.
5 minutes gap I'll take.